The MLB is screwing the San Diego Padres as this decision from the commissioner will have massive implications for the Padres for not just this year, but for years to come. Let's talk about it. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Padres Digest with your host, Andrew. Happy to be back as always. Today we have some important, spicy news to go over, something that could have major implications for not just the Padres, but the entire league in general. If you saw the news, you know what we're talking about. But before I get into it, though, please subscribe as always for more news from us because we're fantastic. You're fantastic, so please keep subscribing. Okay, so I saw I saw a lot of posts about this, but Rob Manfred could be pushing for a salary cap for the entire MLB. MLB's current labor deal expires from December 2026, and Drellich notes that players are skeptical of adding a cap. If you don't know what a salary cap is, that basically means there's a limit to how much you can spend on your team. Pretty much, right? And we don't have that in the MLB. We have a luxury tax, which is like if you go over this, we're going to tax you a little bit. But you can if you want to, which a lot of teams are doing. We used to do that, but now we want to stay below that luxury tax. So let's talk about, firstly, what that means for the league, and then I'll specify what it's going to mean for the Padres, because it could have some massive implications, like I said. So MLB says it hasn't formally proposed a salary cap. The union says otherwise and believes owners are already pushing for one ahead of next year's labor talks. So I have some quotes from a person you might recognize, Bruce Meyer. He is like the second in command of the MLB Players Association. This is from an article from The Athletic, which of course is from Evan Drellich, like we mentioned. Let me read you the quote. There's two of them. There are things you can do to incentivize teams to spend, Myers said. Last time in bargaining, we proposed numerous changes to the revenue sharing system. We said, look, it doesn't make sense right now. You're giving all this money to certain teams and they're not spending it. And they're basically putting the money away. And what we heard from the league was, we don't disagree on some of these things, but we can't change it. We won't change it. Players want a salary floor, but owners are not going to give up a floor without a cap, which is really the opposite of competition, Meyer said. Another quote real quick for you. Manfred has continually expressed concern over the way fans perceive the difference in revenues in the sport. The Dodgers have a payroll that will cost them a projected $408 million in 2025 per Cott's contracts, an all-time high for the game. On the low end this season, the Marlins come in at $86 million. I think the whole premise is wrong, Meyer said, on foul territory. Baseball hasn't had a repeat winner in 26 years. To the fans in small markets, I would say, look, competition is crucial for us, crucial for players. Our market system that we have is not perfect by any means, but it relies on competition by market size. No bottom 15 team has won World Series since the Kansas City Royals in 2025. Baseball's playoff system is something of a crapshoot. However, making World Series victories isn't an incomplete gauge. So yeah, hello Machado. A lot of the pro salary cap people say things like that, like, yeah, no team has won back-to-back World Series since 26 years, so salary cap isn't necessary. If some teams spend a lot, it doesn't mean a big thing, right? But I kind of want to slightly disagree with that, right? So obviously the playoffs, like we said, is a crapshoot. If you're the best team in the league, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to make the World Series. I know last year was kind of an outlier with the Yankees-Dodgers, but if revenue and wins was the only qualifier for World Series victories, the Dodgers and Yankees would probably win like every year, and the Astros, right? But they're not, because the playoffs are a crapshoot. That being said, the teams that spend less than everyone else, and like bottom tier, usually don't make it to the playoffs, so they don't have the opportunity to make that crapshoot. They're in the bottom, right? Because the season's so long, there's 162 games, you need a deep roster. And if you're not spending money on deep rosters, you're not making the playoffs. It's simple as that, right? Obviously, there's other factors. It's a whole generalization, right? There's other things that happen, injuries, all that stuff. But for the most part, if you're not spending money, you're not winning games. And I can show you that too, of course. I do have some numbers for you. Boop. So Padres are 8 right now at $208 million total payroll. Down the bottom tier, like we said, we got the Rays, White Sox, Athletics, Washington, Miami. And you can see White Sox, Athletics, Washington, Miami. They're not that great, right? I think the only team to make the playoffs out of this bunch recently was like Miami in like 2020. So, yeah. I mean, again, Washington does have a 2019 World Series title. So take with that as you will. But I want to show you this comparing to the other leagues, right? Because the other leagues have salary caps. They have things they do differently. And I have some information I ran through ChatGPT. So if you see me looking over here, I'm reading from ChatGPT, my best friend. But the MLB from 22 to 24, right? Their payroll was around $4 to $5 billion from the entire league paying players. Revenue-wise was around like 10 to 12, so a 41 split. NBA had similar 4 or 5 payrolls and 10 to 13 revenue, and again same average split. And the NFL, of course, is a lot more, from $7 billion to $8 billion, 11 to $23 billion in revenue, so 62, 61, 39%. But one thing I want you to recognize from the differences between the payroll is that the NFL, while it does have salary cap, is a 53-man roster, while the Padres are a 26, or the MLB in general is a 26 active roster, 40-man roster, and the NBA is probably like 15. I don't really watch that much basketball, so like 15, 20. Now, obviously, MLB also has the minor leagues. NBA has the G League. I don't know if the G League teams are paid for by the NBA teams. If you watch basketball, let me know. But there's a big differences, right? So let me read you this. Obviously, baseball has no salary cap, but we do have a luxury tax, which is a discourage overspending. Wide payroll gaps between the two teams. We saw that already with the Marlins having the least. Mets have the most right now. I'm not sure if this graph includes injury payroll. I think still, though, Mets would have number 1 right now because they're spending a lot of money. Wrong picture. And then the NFL has a hard salary cap, which you cannot exceed, and there's a lot of league parity. And then, like I said, 53 players per team. NBA has a soft cap and a luxury tax system. Teams usually go over the soft cap to sign star players. And obviously, they do have a tax they're paying. But if you want to sign a star player, you got to pay a lot. That's basketball for you. So would that help or hurt the Padres, I guess, in general, but the MLB in general, would that help or hurt? It depends, right? So I want to show you these figures that people have drawn up for us. Obviously, this is not official numbers. These are not speculations. These are like theories, I guess you can call them. So Manfred is pushing for a salary cap. I wonder what owners want this implemented, cheap ones. However, apparently there will be a floor, soft cap, and top cap. A max cap, you can call it, right? So a floor from $80 to $100 million, soft cap to $250 to $300 million, and a limit to $300 to $350 million. The floor is too low. It should be $100 to $125 million. And then let me show you this. Team payroll floor should be $180 million with a cap of $360 million to prevent max payrolls from exceeding double the league's lowest payroll. No going over, no going under. So I agree. I think, first of all, a floor should be minimum and bare minimum under or over $100 million, right? Force teams like the Rays, White Sox, Athletics, like them to go over that threshold. Yes, as you can see, the lower teams do have worse records, except for the Rays. Rays have a very good development team, very good coaching staff. They can win with low numbers somehow. But obviously right now they're not doing fantastic. But yeah, I mean, again, like we said, lots of money usually means better payroll, or better payrolls mean better records usually, unless you're the Rangers or the Braves right now. But I think a minimum would be much better for the I keep saying the Padres, the MLB in general. A max of, we said, like $300 million. I think $300 million is a generous number. It's a good number. It's generous. And it would definitely keep teams under that threshold. I think 350 is a little too much for a cap. 300 seems like a good, solid number. A soft cap of like 200, 250, we would be over the soft cap. And if there was a soft cap, that'd probably be like a luxury tax or something. So we'd have to pay a luxury tax. Maybe like 225 would be better. Yes, that would, because we have 208. I don't want to pay a tax. But even if the soft cap was 200 and there was a penalty, we would probably be grandfathered into it. So we wouldn't be we wouldn't be forced to renegotiate contracts. And that's probably the same for a hard cap too. Like if the cap was 300 and the Dodgers have like 400, right? They wouldn't be forced to renegotiate contracts because that'd probably go against a lot of MLB Player Association rules. But they would be grandfathered, but they would probably be told like, hey, 3 years from now, you got to get the payroll below this. Figure it out, right? Stop signing $10 million contracts to random players from who knows where. You know what I mean? So, yeah. How would that affect the Padres, though, if we're at a $208 million? Let me show you some contracts that we have, right? So currently our payroll, like we said, is $208 million. We're paying Xander Bogaerts the most with 25. We got a couple of 20s going on. And people like Tatis, they're going to go up in value because they're an appreciating contract, which means we started off paying them less, but we're going to pay them more and more over the years. I think we're going to max out at like 35 for them around like year 10 or something like that. So obviously the veterans are going to get paid more. Arbitration-wise, we are going to lose some players pretty soon, like Arraez, Dylan Cease. They're going to go off payroll next year, depending if we don't re-sign them. People like, I think Suarez has a couple more years left, but another player that's not on here because they're below 100 right now, or they're below $1 million right now, would be Jackson Merrill, but he just signed a new contract, so he'll be more money than that. So payroll is going to get a little bit tricky with these appreciating and new contracts, and obviously we're trying to compete, so we're going to keep paying more. But that's not all, though, because we do have some people we're paying that are injured right now, like Joe Musgrove. He's at $20 million. Michael King's at $4 million. If we do re-sign him, he's going to be a lot more than $4 million. Eric Hosmer, I think, has 1 or 2 more years that we're paying him $12 million, so he's obviously a big thing. Hayward, Joe, Oscar Gonzalez. So our active roster right now, we're paying $165 million. Injured, there's a $25 million being left unplayed, and then retaining $13 million in contracts. So a total's $208. Another thing, though, I want to show you, because yes, that could hurt the Padres, but one thing we're not realizing is the fact that other teams make a lot more than the Padres do. Not all, like, we're obviously a really popular team right now, right? But the Dodgers are obviously, and the Yankees are obviously big market teams, so they make more money, which means they can spend more money. Now you're saying, isn't that what the salary cap or the salary cap is for? Yes, but there's actually a bigger issue that we know about that needs to be addressed before I think we should address a cap. And I can show you this image that talks about it. Players won't budge on a cap unless the new floor equates to or exceeds the average comps for players today, and a large contingency of teams want a floor, but won't agree to a floor high enough because their media deals are crap compared to top 1/3 of the league. Ultimately, MLB has a media deal issue that will never get resolved unless the top teams agree to give up a huge chunk of their pile. So I'm going to read you this that I got from the interwebs, wherever I put it. So as you know, we don't have a media deal, right? We used to be but we used to have our rights out to Bally Sports, and I said on here that we made $60 million annually through Bally Sports, right? But now that we are made broadcasted through the MLB, we're making only $17 million in local television revenue, right? On the other hand, the Dodgers, who have a co-owner of Spectrum Sports Network LA, currently they have an $8.35 billion deal that runs through 2039, 25-year deal, and they receive $196 million in TV revenue. Let's do some mathematics here. 196 minus 17 would be a lot more money. I can't do the math. So much more money. So it's not the fact that the salary cap, salary floor, obviously teams should be spending more money. The salary cap is going to encourage the billionaires to not spend as much. They're going to save a lot of money. But if we don't implement the floor, it means that owners don't have to spend money. They can do whatever they want, and they're not going to go over the cap anyways, so it doesn't matter. But that being said, the big teams are still making a lot more money than the smaller teams. Yes, we're making more money than a lot of teams right now, but there's still those really massive markets that are spending a lot because they can, right? So it's not so much that a floor and a cap is going to fix the MLB. It's the fact of the matter is that some owners are cheap. They don't want to spend. A floor and a cap isn't really going to change that. The fact of the matter is that TV deals on some teams are helping them spend more. TV deals on other teams are hurting them, like the Padres. We're getting hurt right now. I think the Brewers don't have a TV deal right now, too. A lot of Bally Sports channels are getting canned right now, right? So in the end, is this something that's going to screw specifically the Padres? No. This is something that's going to screw the entire MLB and will trickle down into the Padres, in my opinion. Let me know how you guys feel about that. Again, sorry for the long video today. I had a lot I wanted to discuss, but let me know how you feel about this. Do you think this is going to hurt the Padres? Do you think this is going to be good for baseball? And obviously, how much do you hate the Dodgers? Because screw the Dodgers. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, let me know how you feel about everything. Please subscribe and have a fantastic rest of your day. Goodbye.